Over the past couple of seasons, we have seen a number of FCS offensive linemen get taken relatively high in the draft. Cody Mock was a second-round pick, Jared Penning was a first-round pick, and Titus Howard also went in the first round. The FCS constantly produces great talent on both sides of the football that don't necessarily get the national media attention that they deserve. One of those players in this year's draft class, who I think has some of the highest upside of any tackle overall in the draft, is Williamandmary left tackle Charlesgrant. Grant is a player who has been dominant for the Tribe, and when you watch him, he just explodes on tape. In a potentially weaker offensive tackle class, how high could we see Grant get taken in this draft? That is what we will be discussing in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my full in-depth draft guide with full scouting reports and analysis for over 550 prospects. If you do decide to join as a free member, you guys will get the opportunity to participate in weekly polls that will allow you guys to vote on which players you want to see in a future video. You can check that out in the link in the description below. Leave a comment and let me know how you guys feel about Charlesgrant, and without further ado, let's get into it. Grant has put up back-to-back really impressive seasons for the Tribe, and he has some really unique upside. In 2023, he played in 698 snaps, allowing just 1 sack, 9 pressures, and suffered 4 penalties on the year. However, in 2024, he has put up nearly identical numbers. He has 719 snaps this year, and once again has allowed just 1 sack, 9 pressures, but has been penalized a little bit more and has 6 this year. He has been dominant this year at the FCS level and has been earning some serious draft consideration and was the very first player to accept his invite to the Senior Bowl this year in Mobile. The first thing that pops off the tape with Grant is his unbelievable athleticism. He is one of the most athletic left tackles I have ever seen. His get-off and explosion off the line of scrimmage is insanely impressive. He is a very good mover in space, with great quickness to climb into the second level and just absolutely maul people. He is an awesome zone blocker who I think provides exceptional upside at the next level in a heavy outside zone scheme. Another thing I love about Grant is his length. Grant has 35 and 5/8 inch arms, which for reference would have been the 3rd longest at last year's combine among all tackles. He has exceptionally long arms, but he is a player who understands how to leverage them to his benefit. He does a very nice job of long-arming defenders and using his length to help ward off pass rushers. He's going to absolutely shock some people when his measurements come out because his arm length and wingspan are well above average for the position. While it is still a bit of a work in progress, I really like what he shows in pass protection as well. We mentioned the ability to long-arm defenders, but I actually really liked his footwork. He had a really strong anchor, and I thought he had good overall footwork with quickness to get to the outside and keep up with defenders. He did a nice job of countering pass rush moves with his hands, and I think he's got some upside to be a good pass protector. Grant has a lot of upside and shows potential as both a run blocker and pass protector, but I think his size could be an issue for teams at the next level. He is 6'4", 300 pounds, which is an upgrade from where he was last year, where he only weighed 290. He doesn't necessarily have the build to be an elite tackle and could be looked at as a potentially undersized player. Given his length and athleticism, I'm not too worried about it, but I think some teams could be worried at 300 pounds that might not be their starting left tackle, and I wouldn't be shocked if you hear some people talking about a transition to guard. The biggest area of concern I have with Grant is I think he struggled at times by holding on to defenders. I thought he disengaged with defenders too early, and that's where the main issue comes from, particularly in the run game. He would often take poor angles, and his grip strength wasn't necessarily the strongest. It's not an issue I'm extremely worried about, but it is something that I would like to see improvement in. If Grant was an SEC tackle, I think he would be getting legitimate top 10 draft pick type of buzz because the traits are all there. However, he's an FCS player, and he hasn't played against the greatest competition in the world, and that's obviously something to take note of. With that being said, he is a player I absolutely love. His traits are extremely rare, he's a very impressive athlete, and his abilities in the run game and pass protection make him my number 8 offensive tackle in the draft class, and I could easily see him jumping in the top 5 by the end of the draft process. He's an incredible talent with versatility, and I have him as my number 40 overall prospect in the draft class. In terms of a scheme fit, we've talked about it a few times throughout the video, but Grant's athleticism and ability to move in space make him a perfect fit for a wide zone rushing scheme. Wide zone schemes are predicated on having an athletic tackle who can get to the outside and move in space, and Grant does that at an elite level. He has some elite upside, is a physical blocker, and I think he could be a superstar if utilized correctly in the NFL. Grant reminds me a lot of Miami Dolphins left tackle Teron Armstead. Armstead is one of the best zone blockers in all of football, and I think we often take for granted how good he is because he is so consistently injured. Armstead isn't the biggest guy in the world, but he's an absolutely exceptional athlete and an elite mover in space. He's an excellent run blocker who does bring tremendous upside as a pass protector as well, and both of them do come from really small FCS schools, with Armstead being his alma mater being Arkansas Pine Bluff. I think in the right situation, Grant could develop into a very similar type of player as Armstead and just be a consistent force in the NFL. Charles Grant is an FCS gem. He has length, quickness, good footwork, and elite production for William and Mary. He will likely slip because he's an FCS player, but his talent is undeniable. I ultimately believe that Charles Grant will be a top 100 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.